Hello everybody and welcome back to On Point HQ and a bit of an impromptu video. During, like I say, with current times I'm going to try and smash out as many videos as I can on a whole host of subjects. So this video is going to be all about weathering using pigments. Now I don't claim to be an expert on this. This is borne out by the fact that I only started using pigments less than 24 hours ago. But I thought I'd do a quick video on the results. So what I'm going to do is just mess around with the webcam here to get it a bit closer. Okay, so this is my French Panhard 178, and when I first painted it, it was very dull. It wasn't weathered. As you can see, it looks grimy and dirty, and it's not mud. It's more of a dust than anything. And this is what I wanted with my French. Normally I would use Vallejo mud to splatter it everywhere. Well, because war is mud. Yeah, that's as far as I see it anyway. But with these guys, no, I want to do it more of a summer dust. And I never got around to weathering any of my French vehicles. But last night I had a bit of a moment. Besides, I've actually got a Vallejo pigment set, so that's what I'm going to be using. And I'm actually quite happy with how this has turned out. It's very, very quick to do, but the effect's quite good. So I thought, well, why not do a video about it? So that's what I'm going to do. A very, very short video on how I use Vallejo pigments to weather these vehicles. Now, what I'm going to be using, an example, is this. This is my Char B1 Bis. Very, very heavy French tank. As you can see, I've painted it up in the camouflage scheme, but there's no weathering. Absolutely no weathering on this whatsoever. It's because I didn't really know what I wanted to do on them. I didn't want to use loads of mud because I just thought it would be sort of the wrong type of weathering. But with these pigments, yeah, it turned out okay. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to weather this. Whether it'll work or not is a different matter. I could have just got really lucky with the Panhard. But so hopefully I'm going to go from this to weathering like that in a very, very short space of time. So what am I using? So the set of pigments I'm using are the Vallejo Earth and Oxide set. The name's rubbed off. It's actually natural umber, and don't be concerned there's a black orc resting on top of that. I normally use these when I'm painting as a grip. I guess I don't really use them very often, but after conquering my fear of using pigments, I think I'll be using them a lot more often. So this is from the Earth and Oxide range, Vallejo pigments, and it's the natural umber pigment. I've already prepared some here in a nice tray with my plastic blister. And what I'll be using is Airbrush thinner as a sealant. Now you can brush this stuff on, but it tends to, in my experience, it fall off. But with this seals it. This will actually make it adhere and bind to the surface. So what I've already done as well is pour a small amount of the Airbrush thinner into this the plastic blister tray. Two old brushes. Don't use new brushes when you're doing this. It's probably going to nouse them up to no end of destruction. That's what I'm going to do. So let's run through this relatively quickly. So to actually apply, I'm using quite a small brush. Now, this is actually a 000 brush. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, just brush it on dry. So let's get quite close. So what I don't want to do is splatter everywhere. I just want it where it's naturally ended up on the tank. Dust and grime and dirt, so just in between the panels. I'm actually doing this behind a camera, so apologies if it keeps flying out the way. So again, just as you can see, it's building up on there. So you can put it in between the different panel, or the different riveted panels. idlers and the wheels. You want to put some. Oh, that looks quite good actually. Apologies for the noise, the brush keeps hitting the camera. It's the first time I've ever done anything like this. So as you can see, just put it in between. So again, this is just where dust has built up on the tank. So I'll do this side first. So as you can see, quite dusty. But even now it's looking a bit more natural, rather than just splattering mud. Let's go to the back, all over it. This is a bit better. Yeah, I'm actually quite surprised at how good this is looking at the moment. So you may not be able to see it on there. Let's put one final dusting over the top. Now what I'm going to do now is come in with a thicker brush, and then rather than brush it on, I just let it fall. To let the momentum of the thinner just sort of rest on top of the pigment. I think if you brush it on directly, I mean the streaks aren't so bad. It actually looks a bit like mud that's dried or rainwater. But I just tend to use the natural flow. Let's do it along here as well. I mean it looks pretty crappy at the moment. But as you can see, it's building up a nice effect. Now what I'm going to do is go back in with a bit more. And just add it on top of the airbrush thinner. Go back in with a bit more thinner. So already you can see it's building up a nice kind of earthy, muddy, dusty looking, grime and streaks. So add a bit more of it to those tracks. As you can see, there we go. When it dries, it dries quite quickly with this. I forgot I didn't put any on the grill there. Oh. Hopefully that will. And so as you can see, it's giving it kind of a dirty drab stain. You can drag the pigments round as well. And purposely give it streaks. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is complete the rest of this off camera, and then take some photographs and show you what the whole model looks like. So I shall see you in a little bit. And that is the tank pretty much weathered. Hopefully you can see it. It's actually turned out really well. So you can see the tracks there. What I did was, you can see there, I introduced a second pigment, light sienna. I wanted them, with this it was a bit, when I was putting it on this it was quite pronounced, as you can see. With the the Sharpie one though. I want this one a bit more lighter, to give it a bit more lighter, more grounding mud. And as you can see, yeah, it's the streaks down on the rivets. That's it. That's just using, sort of mixing the two, and then using the airbrush thinner just to pull it down and make it into streaks. Likewise with the tracks, as you can see, it's all built up within the individual links there, and on the back. And that's worked a bit better than just slapping mud all over it. It's a bit on the front again with the tracks on the front. But I'm actually, again, it's subtle. It's not what you call in your face, but it does give it a really good weathered look. I'm quite happy with how that's turned out. What I also did, I went a bit mad. I also did it on a Sentinel. This is an Imperial Guard Sentinel. I've got two of these that I got built years ago. I've actually got half an Imperial Guard army. Never used. More of a kit bashing project that I just never got around to finishing because I don't play 40k. But I really like these kits. And as you can see, I've just used the way it's more pronounced on the. It's a greenier colour. As you can see, I've just used a combination of the natural umber and the light sienna, just to, again, not going completely overboard, just giving it a general dusting where it would naturally fall or where it would naturally accumulate. But I just thought I wanted to show this technique doesn't have to be, you know, limited to military or World War II vehicles. It can equally be used in sci-fi or whatever name it's going by these days. But I think that looks quite good. It's dead simple. Again, just a combination of the two pigments, brushed all over. Bit of airbrush thinner to get the streaks, and it makes it look a bit more natural, a bit more like it's in the middle of combat, in the middle of a ruined city. I even splattered some. The base was just plain grey, but I used, like I say, a mixture of the pigments just to not cover the entire base, just to give it a bit more of a broken up look. Again, there's bits and pieces on there, but no, that's actually worked. I've actually got another one of these. I might go and do the other one of those later. But that's it. That's a very simple way of weathering your vehicles. I'm actually super happy with how it's just turned out. Like I said, I normally stick to my tried and tested Vallejo mud, but no, the pigments have come up a treat. So I hope you enjoyed that video. As I mentioned earlier, with the current circumstance, I want to try and get a lot more videos out across a whole host of different subjects, just to keep both me sane and people amused, hopefully. To this end, I've actually now, the massive Luddite that I am, I'm actually now on Twitter. I only set up the account yesterday. There will be a link in the description and a thing on the screen now, where I can be found on Twitter. Please feel free to come and follow me on there. I'm going to be hopefully updating quite a lot during the day of what I'm generally up to during these times, and I would love to hear from you all. So, like I said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Any comments or questions, please leave them down below. But as always, take care, may your dice roll well, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Bye bye for now.